Now, I had a thought to add this in at the last minute, but I have this half memory that I may have already talked about this at some point. This is
Yeah.
something else I was watching on my own on Tubi. So let's
Oh,
see.
yeah.
Have I ever talked about ghost stories before on here? Because I know I bring this up anytime I have the opportunity in real life.
I don't we've talked about it, but or you've mentioned it, yeah, but you've never done like a review of it or anything. And I haven't either. I've only watched like a few episodes of it, so I I'm familiar. I'm well aware of it. Yeah.
Okay. So if I have reviewed it before, it was years ago before we started doing like splitting up the streams into solo videos.
Yeah.
Be- So this is something we watched on Tubi, which means you can watch it for free. The ad placements, because this is television, are much more sane than it is on movies typically.
Mm.
Like they're actually in places you'd kind of expect it.
Yeah.
Ghost Stories is a 2001 anime. You have this handy 2001 owl hat worn by this nerdy guy here to
Yeah.
remind you when this came out. Um, and it's kind of too anime. If you watch it subtitled, which okay, the reason you would watch it subtitled would be if you have children in the house and you want to actually enjoy it as its originally intended school ghost story, then it's a perfectly serviceable Japanese yokai tale. Basic premise is that the brother and sister pair, Satsuki and Keiichiro, have moved into a new town, and they happen to be attending the same school that their mother attended. Their now deceased mother had attended,
Yeah.
and while they're there, they meet Hajime and Leo here, uh, who are just a couple of. I think they're all supposed to be like 10 to 12 or so. I forget the exact age.
Yeah.
Um, but the little brother brings his cat with him to school, and the cat runs into the abandoned schoolhouse. Now, this is one of those things where I don't know if this is actually common practice in Japan or if it is just a framing device used by multiple TV shows.
Yeah.
But it seems like if you have a schoolhouse, when it comes time to build a new schoolhouse, you have the same plot of land. You don't demolish the existing schoolhouse right away. You build a new schoolhouse on the same property. Then you leave that schoolhouse up until you're ready to rebuild the schoolhouse, at which point you would demolish the old schoolhouse, keep using the new schoolhouse, and then move into the new schoolhouse.
Yeah.
So kind of like almost like a fallow field system.
Mm.
But the old house is haunted by a ghost named Amano-jaku, who is this his normal form is this big Oni looking fellow back here, who had been imprisoned by the siblings' mother back in the day.
Uh,
And also you have an older girl, Momoko, here, who is also like a psychic of some sort in the original. I've never watched the subtitle, but I'm giving the basic story that you would follow. And so they find the diary written by the mother on how to, like, all the different ghosts she encountered and the spells you used to defeat them.
mm.
So that's what the show actually is. What the show became, and there have been a lot of stories online about this one, and I haven't ever been able to really narrow it down. So the version you might commonly hear online is that the show wasn't successful in Japan, and so when it was brought to the States, they didn't expect much from it. So the producers basically said, "Do whatever you feel like with it." I've heard this pushed back on some in recent years because people have actually gone back and looked at the ratings, and like the things like kid-friendly yokai content in Japan is actually very popular.
Oh.
So it apparently had done better than was reported here in the West. Like not like an all-time thing, but for like a seasonal anime, like that was decent at least from what I recall.
Yeah.
So the alternate theory, which I think is more plausible, is that ADV was going down the dumps when this thing was dubbed.
Mm.
And so the director, a fellow named Stephen Foster, who is kind of known for not really liking anime that much and for wanting to improve the scripts, quote unquote, just decide like he and the voice actors, I don't know if it's just because they were tired. I don't know if who approved of this.
Yeah.
But they basically turned this thing into South Park.
Yeah.
So the version of ghost stories that a sane adult human being in the West would watch is about the Manshita family, originally the Miyanoshita, but Manshita, haha, sounds like man shitter. So
Yeah.
uh, doing a bunch of filthy ad-libbed lines back and forth at each other while voicing these young children.
Oh, God.
Like everyone's always calling Satsuki a slut.
Yes.
Keiichiro is literally retarded. He just made the sounds the whole time.
Yeah, it's
Hajime is kind of a jerk and a lech.
Yeah.
Leo is a Jewish stereotype.
Yeah.
Momoko is a born-again Christian who it's kind of implied that either she is a repressed gay or she puts it, how do I attract them?
Yeah.
And Amano Jaku is like the only serious character, but that's because he's a ghost possessing a cat who is just very sarcastic and angry in both versions.
Yeah.
Because he kind of lost his powers to a great extent.
Yeah.
And so the dub version is just hilarious.
Yeah.
With all types of great lines.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you think this construction's a good idea? I heard there's a burial ground here. Just dig the hole, just dig the hole, digger. Or, hey, aren't you kids out a little bit late? Maybe I should take you home. Do your parents know you're out? Just drive the bus driver.
Well, yeah, some of them I don't know if I can say them. I don't know if you can say some.
Yeah, there's a very, very salty.
Yeah. And Arco says this anime, along with Duel Masters and Black Lagoon, are some of the greatest argument for dub superiority anime fans have. It's a good argument, though objectively wrong. Yeah, and I would also put the Cowboy Bebop dub in there. It was good too.
Yeah, so it's an interesting piece of history that I'm glad doesn't get repeated very often.
Yeah.
Because, okay, would we be talking about this little ghost story anime in 2026 if they hadn't done this to it? Odds are no. This would be sitting in the moldering in the bottom of Crunchyroll or God help you and whatever the other streaming services that uses a picture of a monkey for no reason.
High Dive.
High Dive, thank you. I probably would have been on High Dive because High Dive has a lot of the dregs of ADV's library from when they collapsed.
Right. Yeah.
And it would just be it would just be eating up server space somewhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the original story is and this time when I was watching through it while doing other things, so I just kind of had it on the background. I was realizing most of the episodes of this were actually effective kid friendly horror. So it's you did kind of lose something that was fit for its original purpose.
Yeah.
Well, so it's you don't want to repeat the experiment too many times. What it basically is, I'm sure that this inspired a lot of people to make their abridged series back in the day, like Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean the episodes I have watched, are just just completely random lines in there. They're just like, what does this have to do with the show?
Right. And like, yeah, there are some cultural references that have dated over time. Like they just, like references to, they even have like lots of references to actor Vic Mignola.
Mignogna.
Mignogna, excuse
That's
me.
okay.
It's been a while since I thought about him. But
Yeah.
yeah, Vic Mignogna
Yeah.
in one episode. I forget if the character they were calling Vic Mignogna was actually voiced by him or if they just, or if they just were just riffing.
May have just been riffing. Yeah, because they didn't like him very much.
Yeah. True, though this was at the stage of his life where they pretended to like him because he was popular.
Oh
So
well, yeah, yeah,
it being like dubbed in 2005 or so.
yeah. That's true. Yeah,
But uh, so it's like it's an art. What it actually is. It's like a case of the artistic value of vandalism because this show is definitely vandalized from its original form, but they made something very special out of it.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say go give it a watch. It is on Tubi. I think it's also on Crunchyroll, but again, we're specifically in free month here, and this is kind of what I was turning on as background noise while I was doing other things the last couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
watch it through all the way. It's still funny. It still holds up. It's still like a cast of voice actors who I feel like they get a lot of. I actually feel like English voice actors in general get a lot of crap from the anime industry, especially the ones working in 2005 or so
Yeah.
when they're a necessary component because not everybody wants or is able to read subtitles, so it gives them a way to enjoy the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, give it a watch if you have a filthy mind like I do.
Yes. Definitely. Oh yeah. 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 I need to go back and rewatch it again, or finish it, I should say. Yeah.
Yep.